Many of you watching this video may have a car loan, credit card debt, student loans, or other types of personal loans. Those debt repayments are what's holding you back from maximizing your 401k contributions, Roth IRA contributions, or real estate investment. What I needed to do was to figure out how much extra I could pour onto my consumer debt so that I could get out of it as soon as possible. And my minimum payments were about $1,400 a month to repay $108,892.40 in total consumer debt. And to put it from a different perspective, that was $500 more than the apartment rent that I paid for at the time back in 2013. I was desperately trying to get out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle. So in December 2013, I decided to sacrifice the next 2 years in 2014 and 2015 to pay off my debt completely so that I could start saving and investing for my financial independence starting in 2016. Fast forward to 2023, I now have over 7 figures in total assets because when I first learned about compound interest growth, that $1,400 a month invested into an S&P 500 index fund for 10 years with a 10% average annual return, returning to almost $300,000. What if I invested $30,000 a year? That would give me $525,000 in 10 years. But I couldn't save or invest with credit card debt hanging over my head. So the first thing I had to do was to get my money under control because I was spending way more than I made. So step number 1 was to make sure that I pay my bills on time. And that sounds like common sense, but this was the very first thing I had to do before I even started paying off my debt. I struggled to pay my bills because my minimum debt repayments were $1,400 per month. But in order to make extra payments on my credit card debt, I had to drastically reduce my overall expenses. And I had to consider the following 5 categories when it came to budgeting on my debt-free journey: housing, utilities, transportation, groceries, and insurance. 1, how much do I need to spend each month to put food on the table? 2, how much do I need to spend each month to keep the roof over my head? And 3, how much do I need to spend each month to keep the house running, like utilities and electricity? And 4, how much do I need to spend each month on transportation to get from point A to point B? 5, how much do I need to pay each month to keep my car insurance, medical insurance, and homeowners or property insurance? And if you have a family with minors in your household, you need to know how much money you spend on average each month to pay for your kids' medical expenses and prescription medications. If you and your spouse both work, how much do you need to spend on childcare and school supplies? When I work with my clients, these are the first things we work on before we even get to the investment portion of your personal finances. You have to know how much money is coming in and how much money is going out each month. And that's both pre-tax and after-tax income. Did I mention anything about keeping my subscriptions? Did I mention anything about dining out? And did I mention anything about traveling? Nope, just the basic expenses. And once I had those figured out, I came up with what's called a 50-50 budget strategy. And 50% of my income was going to the basic living expenses that I just mentioned. And the other 50% of my income was going towards my debt. So how did I reduce my basic expenses to just 50% of my income, making $58,000 a year? As my income increased in 2014 and 2015, I maintained the same expenses throughout those years. So at one point, I was able to live on 40% of my income and aggressively repaid my debts with 60% of my income. And keep in mind that I had a 1-year-old daughter at the time, turning 2. And the next thing I did was to raise cash by selling pretty much anything that I didn't need. And I went through a divorce in 2013. So I had to sell my house and many other things that we owned together to split the profit. I didn't make a lot of profit from selling my house, but it allowed me to pay off my first credit card with a $6,000 balance. Then I sold both cars so that I didn't have to pay over $600 a month in car payments. And I sold my clothes and furniture on Craigslist so that I could use that extra cash to pay down my debt. And you'd be surprised how many people will actually pay for things on Craigslist back in the day. Is Craigslist still a thing? I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below, okay? And the first thing I completely cut out was going out to eat by myself or having any takeout food. That alone saved me on average $500 per month. And I also cut out all of my discretionary spending, like my subscriptions, clothes, or anything that wasn't considered necessary until my debt was completely paid off. And the second thing I did was go to the grocery store and buy these cases of cup ramen noodles. Those cup ramens were like 10 cents each back in 2014, and I would eat them like 2 to 3 times a day. Now it's probably like 25 cents with inflation, but I will never eat these again. And the third thing I did was to plan my meals and grocery runs. And I went to the grocery store every week with a list of all the meals I was gonna eat every week. And I try to eat as healthy as possible, but I gotta tell you that buying a can of Spam with like 580 milligrams or 600 milligrams of sodium was much cheaper than getting a fresh bag of chicken. It's crazy, right? America. And I bought a large bag of rice and a case of Spam that would last me like a month. And the fourth thing I did was to cut my transportation cost in half by driving to work with my coworkers. I don't know who any of these people are in the picture, but I was paying around $200 a month in gas every single month, right? And when I started ride sharing with my coworkers, I paid around $40 a month in gas. And I did everything I could to save money on gas by just going to the grocery stores, working, picking up and dropping off my daughter at daycare, who was almost 2 years old at the time. And the fifth thing I did was to reduce the cost of my insurance bills. Luckily, the only insurance I had to pay was my car insurance, because the military paid for all of my medical and dental bills, including my daughter's. And I just shopped around every car insurance company to lower my insurance bill as much as I could. And to be completely transparent, and I've made several mistakes throughout my debt-free journey, and I could have paid down my debt a lot sooner if I didn't make the following mistakes. And mistake number one was to buy a house when I was right in the middle of it, because even with the mortgage payments being lower than the rent payments, my housing expenses went up because so many things went wrong as soon as I moved into the house. And I felt like I was in a rush to buy a house because the apartment I was in at the time wanted to raise the rent by almost $100 per month. And mistake number two was that I only had $300 in cash for my rainy day fund. And I should have had at least $1,000 or $1,500 saved in my rainy day fund, because those rainy days came as soon as I moved into a house that I bought. And mistake number three was not turning off the 529 college savings plan contributions to my daughter. I could have paid down my debt a lot faster with that extra $100 per month that I contributed to her 529 account. And mistake number four was going on dates while I was in debt. And I should have cut those expenses out, but I can't really regret it, because the person I used to go out on dates with is my wife now. But if she had known about my struggle with personal finances, and I think she would have understood and allowed me to cut back on the spending and have like cheap movie nights instead. But anyway, let me share how I prioritize my debt. This was a crucial step because I needed to make as much room in my budget as possible to make extra debt repayments. So what I did was to list my debt from the smallest to the largest, and I had a total of $47,000 in credit card debt with an interest rate of between 19 and 24%. These interest rates were just absolutely killing my budget every single month. You know what Gen Z says, killing my vibes, right? You can say that, right? And the next portion was my fixed interest rate loans, like my personal loan, TSP loan, and 2 car loans. And the only one with a high interest rate was my personal loan at 12% APR, because I had a bad credit score, right? But at the time, I felt like I needed that loan to help pay for my divorce attorney and many other things. And I also borrowed from my TSP, which is the same thing as a 401k, but it's a federal government version of it. And I also had 2 cars, but one of them came from a divorce. So I just kind of like kept borrowing all those years, right? So what I needed to change, it wasn't so much the spreadsheets, not yet. It was my behavior. I need to change my behavior. I had a serious spending problem. So in order for me to stop the bleeding, I had to stop using my already maxed out credit cards. And I also had to stay very disciplined with my budget because half of that was going towards my debt. And I had a plan in place and I was ready to execute it, right? You need to have the same mindset as well if you're serious about trying to get out of debt. And one of my clients actually just paid off $22,000 in debt in just 7 months. They paid about $3,100 a month towards their debt because they were determined to start saving and investing in their financial independence. And stay tuned because in the next segment of this live stream, I'm going to show you the spreadsheets I used to pay off my debt in 2 years. And if you're watching this on replay, the next clip will be in the debt-free journey playlist if it's not published already.